This is the Virtual Boy, often hailed as one of the worst and controversial gaming console ever invented.
Virtual Boy, see it now in 3D.
In the early 90s, the gaming industry was on the brink of a technological revolution. Virtual reality was starting to capture interest, and big companies like Sega and other arcade developers were starting to explore the realm of 3D. Inspired by this emerging trend, Nintendo set its sights on creating a unique gaming experience that combined fun and innovation. At the time, Nintendo was considered as the biggest gaming company in the world. The Super Nintendo, as well as the previous console, Nintendo Entertainment System, were completely dominating at the time. With the Virtual Boy, Nintendo believed it could redefine how we interact with games today. Nintendo wanted to invent a new frontier in gaming, offering a portable 3D gaming experience that would push the boundaries of gaming. They believed that the future of gaming lay in the ability to immerse players in a virtual environment, making them feel like they were truly part of the action. Leading the development was Gunpei Yokoi. Gunpei Yokoi was a legendary Japanese video game designer and engineer at Nintendo. He joined the company in the 1960s as a maintenance worker, but soon showcased his creativity by inventing the Ultra Hand. This success led to his pivotal role in developing some of Nintendo's most iconic products, like the original Game Boy. In 1991, Nintendo paid $10 million for exclusive virtual reality technology created by a company based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. However, once they began to develop the product, they quickly realized that the technology wasn't as advanced as they had expected. The concept of virtual reality was still in its infancy, and the hardware limitations of the time meant that their vision for a groundbreaking device fell short. Rather than fully immersing players in a 360-degree digital environment like modern VR headsets, the Virtual Boy utilized a stereoscopic 3D display system. This setup projected slightly different images to each eye, creating an illusion of depth. A major limitation of the Virtual Boy was its color display. The headset could only render graphics in red and black because of the oscillating mirrors that rapidly reflected a single row of LED pixels into a 3D projection. Nintendo chose this design to keep costs down, but it had the side effect of causing eye strain and headaches for many players.
You've gotta play it. You've gotta have it. You've got a reputation.
Unlike typical controllers of the time, which usually featured a single D-pad for directional movement, the Virtual Boy's controller used dual D-pads. This design was intended to give players more control over their movement and interactions within the 3D space, but it turned out to be more of a drawback than a benefit. Players found the controller difficult to use, and many were confused by the layout. The physical design of the Virtual Boy also posed problems. Rather than being worn on the player's head like a modern VR headset, it was mounted on a stand, and players had to lean forward, resting their head against the visor to play. This made the player's posture look like this. Only 22 games were ever released for it. Each system came bundled with Mario's Tennis, a title that showcased the stereoscopic 3D capabilities, but failed to keep players engaged for long. Other notable games included Wario Land.
Wait till they get a load of me!
And a game based on the 1995 movie Waterworld. The marketing strategies for the Virtual Boy were nothing short of bold. Nintendo aimed to position the console as a futuristic leap into 3D gaming. The trailers and commercials were intense, often showing players being transported into virtual worlds with dramatic visuals and intense sound effects. Nintendo was known for delivering quality products, and after the success of the Game Boy, expectations were sky high. Gamers were eager to get their hands on what was being described as portable VR. The hype was undeniable. Nintendo even demoed the Virtual Boy at major gaming expos, where curious fans and industry insiders lined up to give it a try. But as we all know, expectations don't always match reality. The actual experience of playing the Virtual Boy didn't live up to the futuristic vision painted by Nintendo's marketing. While the 3D effects were impressive for the time, the red and black color scheme, eye strain, and uncomfortable setup made for a less than immersive experience. Gamers quickly realized that this was no fully immersive VR, but rather a limited, stationary console with some 3D depth effects. The Virtual Boy officially launched in Japan on July 21, 1995, and in North America on August 14, 1995. Nintendo hoped to repeat the success of the Game Boy, but right out of the gate, things didn't go as planned. Despite all the marketing buzz, sales figures were underwhelming. In the first few months, the Virtual Boy sold only 140,000 units in Japan and around 350,000 units worldwide by the end of its short lifespan. Compared to their other reset products, this was a clear fail and an embarrassment. Part of the problem was the price at $179 D5s. Comparing to the price of a Game Boy, this was a lot of money, especially for a console that didn't offer color graphics or a wide selection of games. Initial reactions from critics were mixed to negative. While some praised Nintendo's ambition, most agreed that the hardware fell short of expectations. Critics pointed out the uncomfortable design, and most importantly, the limited game library. Eye strain and headaches were frequently reported, making long gaming sessions nearly impossible. The Virtual Boy quickly gained a notorious reputation for causing significant eye strain and headaches among its users. This was largely due to the device's unique design, which required players to look into a dual-lens display fixed at a certain distance, resulting in a very unnatural viewing experience. The graphics, rendered entirely in red LED, further extended the issue. The intense, monochromatic visuals made it difficult for users to focus for extended periods, leading to severe discomfort, particularly during long gaming sessions. Many users reported experiencing not only eye strain, but also headaches and dizziness, creating an overwhelmingly negative perception of the system's physical effects. As these complaints piled up, Nintendo took steps to avoid potential legal troubles by issuing warning labels. These labels highlighted the risks associated with using the device, including headaches, nausea, and in more extreme cases, seizures. Warnings were also aimed at younger children, as Nintendo advised that children under the age of 7 should avoid using the Virtual Boy altogether. The reasoning behind this caution was tied to the fact that children's eyesight was still in development at that age and could potentially lead to conditions like a lazy eye. Despite the early warning signs and growing customer dissatisfaction, Nintendo initially attempted to push through and improve sales. However, the Virtual Boy's poor reception, coupled with the increasing reports of physical discomfort, caused sales to stagnate. Faced with mounting pressure and an underperforming product, Nintendo ultimately made the difficult decision to discontinue the Virtual Boy. The console was pulled from the market just 1 year after its release. By 1996, production of the Virtual Boy had come to an end, and the remaining units were sold off at steep discounts in an effort to clear out inventory. But if there's one thing Nintendo is known for, it's their ability to bounce back. The failure of the Virtual Boy forced Nintendo to rethink its strategies moving forward. Rather than focus on gimmicks, they doubled down on creating high-quality consoles and games that emphasized player experience. The success of the Nintendo 64, with its groundbreaking 3D titles like Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, helped Nintendo regain its footing in the industry. Interestingly, while the Virtual Boy was a failure in its time, it can be seen as a precursor to modern virtual reality systems. Concepts of immersion and 3D gaming that the Virtual Boy tried to achieve are now standard in devices like the Oculus Rift and PlayStation VR. Nintendo's experiment with the Virtual Boy may have failed, but the dream of immersive gaming lived on. If you liked the video, I would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. Please.